The program tonight is called Let's Explore Mango Languages. Mango Languages is a free um, virtual service that the library offers. All you need is a um, access to a library card, and you are more than welcome to use it. So, I'm going to do. I have this brief, um, just kind of walk through slideshow of what is exactly offered with Mango Languages, and um, after that, I will do more of like a demonstrative aspect of the program, just to like kind of hands-on thing to show you how you'll actually use it. But I just wanted to spend a few minutes going through the slideshow that'll briefly take you through what to expect when you start using it. So, um, as you can see, I'm going to hover over here. Our homepage is ilove.ebpl.org, and Mango languages can be accessed from our homepage. So, um, I will show you. I have highlighted it right there where it is on our homepage, and I will go through this in a little bit about how exactly you can find it. But it's right there, neatly embedded, easy to find. So, um, how to get started? Well, first you'll have to log in or create an account. That could be done using your library card. So, in getting started, we have these helpful tips on how um, how you can access it, and there's links, as you could see here, to the mobile app on if you have a Google smartphone, or if you have an iPhone. We have those links right there. Um, and I would really recommend, because I know a lot of people like to do this on their phones as opposed, or on a mobile device, on a tablet, anything like that, as opposed to doing it just on um, like the computer itself. And I totally understand that. Like it's sometimes it's a lot easier to do it on the go, that kind of thing. And I must say that the interface is really, really simple and easy to use. Um, so I would really recommend using that for Mango languages. It's really helpful to be able to just have it, on the go on an app, and we have those links there just so it's easy to access. Um, if I'm going to go over how to get started as well and how to download the apps. But again, if you have any, if you need any help with this, any of those aspects, please just click on the getting started, or, on the download, and you can follow instructions on, reference those, and those will take you where you need to be um, to download these kind of things, download the app to get started just using it on a computer, that kind of thing. Okay. Next aspect is you'll see a screen. It will ask you to log in. Um, that you can only log in if you've already made an account. So there's options to log in. It'll keep you logged in if you want, which is always very helpful because, you know, nobody likes having to sign in every time. So, um, you could also use Mango as a guest, which I'm going to use tonight because it's a good way to demonstrate how to use it. But I'll also demonstrate. So before you could even log in, you need to go down here and sign up, which I will demonstrate in just a few minutes when we get to that part of the presentation. Um, but yeah, you could sign up. It gives you more. Um, it'll track your progress when if you go through all the lessons, that kind of thing. So signing up does have its advantages to just using it as a guest. I'm gonna use it as a guest just to show you um what exactly it looks like, and just as an introductory kind of thing. So getting started. This is just like what to expect when you get started with Mango languages. You can learn with conversations, which is very helpful because there's like a vocal aspect, because that's how a lot of people learn. You want to be able to, practice speaking, pronunciation, that kind of stuff. We'll get into that more, but it's very helpful to be able to do that and to have a service that works with you to achieve that goal. Recognizing patterns. So some of it's color coded, which is helpful because people learn in different ways. So it shows the relationship between the languages, and how that works, because it's helpful for recognizing the patterns. And then you could also record your voice if you'd like. We'll briefly go into that and how you can align that with a native speaker and, see if your pronunciation's on point, if it needs, tweaking in some aspects, anything like that. And they definitely have a lot of help on here with how that works. There's a lot of focus on the pronunciation aspect, which I like. So languages. Um, there are dozens of languages offered by Mango Language. And the great thing is that, whatever your first language is, say you know, your first language is Arabic and you want to learn English, there's a lot of help for that. If your first language is Spanish and you want to learn French, you can do that too. So it's not always just starting with English or wanting to learn English. You could start with so many different languages and learn so many other different languages. Um, so that's a really good point on, you know, the adaptability to your needs. Um, this will be your main screen right here. This is the main hub, your main page for learning any language. It'll look like this. It'll have in the corner here what language you speak, and then it will have learn, vocabulary, explore, tools, support, all that stuff. So that is very helpful as well. So and then we'll see, in addition to that, in the main part of the page, front and center, are our main units. And these are what we'll use to these will be the main building blocks of learning any of the languages here. They'll all have that. It'll all look the same no matter what language you're learning. It will be broken, these main units, each one divided into chapters, and you progress through those accordingly. But it's all gonna look pretty much the same no matter what language you choose to learn. Um, so this is good. When you start the first language, we'll go into all this, but it tells you what to expect. So as you see, conversational goals, ask and tell someone where they're from, ask and tell someone, ask whether somebody speaks a language, talk about seasons and weather. And then there's grammar goals as well. So we get these different aspects of speech and what we're trying to achieve with those lessons. And it's just kind of, getting you situated, getting you primed for what you could anticipate you're going to learn in that section. So that's helpful as well. This is just kind of like some settings things, but I've included it because it is helpful. Some people don't like to click through. Some people just like to use the actual keys to do that, like the alphabetic, like the letter keys, and that's fine as well. And on the right here, the volume up and down, where do you like that? Some people want the narrator on. When we're going to see that, we'll go through the lessons. Closed captioning as well. It could be very helpful. Again, everybody learns in different ways. So whether you want that on or off, I'll show you where those settings are. And then quiz timer. So there are quizzes at the end of each section. You can have a timer on if you really want to challenge yourself, and if you want the interactive slides as well to give you more enhanced information. And this is kind of just what it will look like when you get started. On the left here is just an example of, you see the green and the blue and the green and the blue, and it's walking you through a basic conversation, and you're going to listen to it and kind of learn through the speech that's being used. As you could see, this is in Spanish, and then underneath is in English. So it'll include both, and that way you could compare, contrast, and kind of learn, which parts of speech are which and how you can learn through that. And then also there's these little notes in between some of the more learning slides where we'll have aspects of culture or grammar that are explained in more detail, which is very helpful because as I said, each language that we're going to learn, um, it could be very different. Spanish, French, Chinese, they're all incredibly different languages from each other. So it's helpful to have these culture notes, these grammar notes to just explain more about why things look a certain way, uh, and um, kind of give you that helpful background information. We'll go into that too. So, and in Explore, we will see they have movies. Some of them, this is on the Explorers tab. We'll go into this. Some of them have movies that are will help you learn. Some of them have essays, that kind of thing. Um, and then there's tools as well, and this will help you translate um, text from any language you want to any other language you want, and it will copy and translate that for you. As you can see underneath, there's a Mango Reader. Use our new Chrome extension to read any page on the internet. I've tried that. It works somewhat well, but again, it's still in development, so it's kind of limited, but it is a helpful way to translate pages. Okay, so what we'll go to now is, all right, so I'm going to go to ilove.ebpl.org. This is the library's main homepage on our website, and how you can access Mango is by hovering over the Explore tab, and you go straight down from there, and we have Mango languages listed under virtual library. So just don't click on Explore, just hover right over it and go down to Mango languages. As you can see this from the page before, you can click on Google Play, you click on the Apple Store, and it will take you to ways that you could install the app on your own device. It'll take you right to the page to do that. So that's great. And then again, getting started, we have this tutorial on how you can get started, how to log in, how to track your activity, lesson preferences, those kind of things. And then more information here underneath on how to download the app and how to log in and how to get started using it. So you can click here to access, or you click this orange button right here, and we will access. So this is a page from before, and like I said, download from Apple, download from Google. Those options are there as well. But here, if you want to create a profile, like an actual account, I'm going to show you how to do that here. So you would click on sign up, and then you would provide an email address and password. Just create your own password. Um, but you also would need your card number, as in your library card number, and your PIN number. PIN number is usually, not always, but usually the last 4 digits of your primary phone number that you provided to the library. So, yeah, email, password, card number, PIN, all of those are required. But again, from there, you should only have to enter those once, and it should remember your information on mobile or on the computer. We'll remember it either way, and that's very helpful because then, nobody wants to have to remember all that each time you go on. So then if you do have an account, all you have to do is put in the email and the password, log in, and you get started right from there. I'm going to click use Mango as a guest just because I think it's what would work best for the purposes of our demonstration. Okay. Use Mango as a guest. Let's see. All right. So from here, all right, we will select a language. Now, before it shows popular languages, but that are used on here, but we could also hit see all. And that's very important because it shows you these over 70 languages are offered. And so it's great to have all of these listed because some languages are so varied. As we see, there are 4 different types of Arabic offered. There are 2 types of Spanish because the Castilian is very different from Latin American. Cantonese and Mandarin, obviously very different. So to have some of these languages and to have the focus on, you know, the different elements of the language is very helpful because otherwise I feel like you would exclude people who really and who speak these very, they're very prominently spoken in our East Brunswick community, but also across New Jersey as well. It's very these languages are very prevalent. So it's important to have these represented in the service that we offer. So I'm going to use Spanish as mine language to get started because it is the only language I can even remotely understand besides English. So we're going to click Spanish. Again, we see this is the main hub, main page we're working with for every language. And as you can see, there's also this placement test, which is great. And you could kind of use that as a reference point for any language you want to learn, where it'll tell you what your proficiency is, which is really helpful because you might think, oh, I'm not so good at this, but it turns out you're a lot better than you think you are. In that case, feel free to skip the introduction unit, but something like that, you know. So as we see, we have our main units. There are 5 of them, and then within each main unit, as we see, the first one here is introductions, and there's 7 components, 7 lessons of that. So what we're gonna do is go through the first lesson here. So again, learning with conversations, recognizing patterns, and then comparing voice. All these elements are represented in the lessons. As I've said before, there's conversational goals and there's grammar goals, just to know what you will be dealing with, what to expect in this specific lesson. So,
even if it seems hard now, you'll learn to have conversations like this easily by the end of the chapter.
Hola, ¿cómo está usted?
Buenos días. Estoy bien, gracias. ¿Y usted?
Estoy
So I'm going to stop that there, but it gives you a kind of sample of what it's like. You see the different colors for the different speakers so that it represents a conversation, and we see it in Spanish and then in English. So every time, whatever languages that you choose to have on here, it will have those 2 languages like right next to each other. And then again, I just hit stop, so I can
bien
hit play
también.
again.
Gracias.
¡Qué día tan frío! Bueno, que tenga un buen día.
And then what we could also do
Even if it
is
seems hard now.
replay. And that's good too. So we could replay the conversation. If we miss something, we need to go back. We feel like we need more practice with that. Definitely feel free to go through that way. And again, these were you could click on here if you need support, help, if you feel like you're stuck with something. And then you could click and you could turn the volume up, turn the volume down if you like having the narrator on. If not, closed captions if you feel like you learn better that way, all that kind of things. Customize it to how you see fit.
All right.
So,
Let's learn how to say hello. Listen closely and repeat.
Hola.
so we could have them say it again. We could, replay. Or if you have a microphone attached here, what you could do is you could plug that in. You could practice your speech, and Mango Languages will recognize how well that you are matching the way that you're supposed to be saying the word. So it's very helpful because like when you're learning a language, I find too often these lessons in so many services can be focused on just reading, and really, it's so helpful to be able to speak the actual language, pronounce correctly, like have a conversation, that kind of thing. So having this voice aspect is very helpful. It also, if you hover over the word, um, you can see, hola, it's pronounced, it's not pronounced phonetically. It is pronounced the way that the bubble is showing us, just to kind of get a glimpse of, how you can best pronounce the
Did you
word.
notice that although
Hola.
starts with the letter H, it is not pronounced? The letter H is always silent in Spanish.
So we have these, as I said before, right? The letter H is silent. It's not pronounced. Hola isn't pronounced exactly how it looks, and so um, it's helpful to have these little grammar notes in between.
Nice. Now practice saying hello.
So then it will, if you have a microphone, you could pronounce it, and it'll basically judge you on how well you do it.
Let's learn how to say good morning.
Buenos días.
And you see buenos dias. Again, if you hover over, it'll give you how to pronounce the word better. The microphone will help you if you want to, say the words back into the microphone, and replay if you just want to go through it again.
Let's hear you. Can you? Here's how.
I'm gonna
You have
go.
now seen two different versions of the word for good,
Buenos.
and
Buenas.
the alternation between
O.
and
A.
is related to grammatical gender, which you will learn more about later in this chapter. For now, just focus on remembering the phrases as a whole.
Buenos días.
And
Buenas tardes.
See, and there's these grammar notes that are very helpful. So, it shows you why there exists a distinction between buenos and buenas. Because some people, you might see it differently in different aspects, in different sentences, and you might not know why that is the case. Why is it different? So it's helpful to have something like that to show you why exactly it's different. And yeah, this is just the introduction to the lessons themselves. I'm going to click out of that for now. But at the end of each chapter, which is very helpful, there's these listening, reading, and vocabulary, like summaries and quizzes, and that way you could kind of, practice what you've learned through all of the lessons in that chapter. And we could just kind of get started. As you could see, we could
Uf, qué día tan largo.
you can kind of go through these, and go through the conversation, and then it will quiz you on um on what the correct answers are. And it also, which is very helpful, it will give you this little explanation of why something is the way it is. I love that about the grammar notes, this explanations, that kind of thing, because it takes a little bit to learn, to adapt your brain to a new language, and so you want to know why something's happening instead of just accepting that it's happening. Like that way, it's so much easier to follow the rules. Okay, we're gonna exit this. We can see reading again. And then again, we'll see, you know, the pronunciation if we hover over it, and then the words themselves. And again, explanation of why something's correct, why it is the way it is. So it's a good way to kind of practice and see, I've gone through all the lessons. Have I actually learned what it's wanted me to learn from that? And then within each, there's these main units which are for, they're there for every language no matter what you're learning. But then there's also these specialty units. These vary by what we are by what language we're learning. I'll go into that in a little bit. But something like text talk might be helpful. They're smaller units, but it could be helpful. Just
Listen to the following conversation.
Hola, ¿qué haces?
Nada. Aquí en casa. ¿Tú?
¿Quieres salir esta noche?
Ay, no creo poder.
¿Por qué no?
And so we could just see, what text, introduction to what texting looks like, because obviously the way we text isn't always an exact replica of how we speak in real life. It's a lot of shorthand going on. We condense things. We speak more informally, so it's good to have that as an example. And then so this will always be under learn. Is our main hub, and I'm going to go through the rest of these up here. So we have vocabulary, and for that we can do something like days of the week or something like that. And then Monday, C is lunes, and we could
Lunes.
have it said, you could see the pronunciate, like the exact pronunciation, and you could see
Lunes.
listen to it as well. So there's a bunch of vocabulary lessons, just little guides on really the basics of speech and the basic words you're gonna have to know when learning a new language. Explore, they have these interactive reading passages that you could kind of go through. If you feel like you're getting better, you could try to go through it and understand the whole thing, which is great. And then so Sabado means Saturday. And if you wanted sentence, that way it contextualizes it a little bit more what the whole sentence is saying instead of just a word. So that's very helpful. They've really done a great job of showing getting into why, like how people learn and what we need, and showing the building blocks of language, sentence patterns, speech patterns, all of that stuff. So I really like that they've added that. That's a new feature, these reading passages. There's also movies where they'll kind of they're pretty short, but what they'll do is they will they'll stop after a few minutes of time where you'll watch the movie and it'll ask you questions. And it's kind of like a quiz in its own way to show, hey, have you been following, and how have you been understanding and digesting the information correctly? Because that's hard to do, especially in something that moves pretty fast like a movie. So that's a really good test for your skills. So again, it has this translation tool. I'm just going to use it real quick. So we'll do a French to English. So in French, I'm putting the phrase mon petit chou, and that translates to, in English, my little darling. It actually literally translates to my little cabbage, and why the French use that as an expression, I don't know, but they think it's cute, and I guess it is. Who knows? Then you can go to, because we're a guest user, would normally, if you have your own if you are logged into your own profile, what it will show here is all your activity, all of the lessons you've done up until this point. If you've done lessons in different languages, it'll show you all of your activity on that. Very helpful to have and track. Because sometimes you learn a language and then you kind of forget about doing your lessons for, a week or two, and you're like, hey, where did I actually leave off with this? It happens to all of us. Like and this activity will tell you exactly where you left off and what you've completed until that point. So, we're gonna go back. If we go back to learn, we're in back to our main page. What I'm gonna do is just to show more aspects of Mango, I'm gonna switch the language. So if you click on the icon here, you see we're in Spanish, Latin American right now. I'm gonna click change the language, and we're gonna go to French and start learning. And again, set up exactly the same. Main units has chapters with all these quizzes at the end of each one. So pretty similar, which is nice. No matter what language you're learning, you'll have some familiarity there. But one of the funny things though about this is the specialty units, I guess because it's France, they have wine and cheese instead of other things that might make more sense. Like in Spanish, this was not one of the options, but in French, they found that I guess that is what is important when you are learning French, is a unit on wine and cheese, which I thought was very funny. So I wanted to show that in the specialty units. And then I'm going to show Chinese as well, just to show there is something I really want to emphasize in doing this when we get started.
Listen to the following conversation. When learning Mandarin, be sure to listen carefully to new words. Mandarin is a tonal language, which means that vocal pitch contributes essential meaning to words. Tone is so important that pronouncing the same syllable with two different tones results in two entirely different words. Take a listen to the 4 tones of Mandarin and repeat to the best of your ability.
Ba, 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 ba.
They are always recited in this order and are called first, second, third, and fourth tone, respectively. You will also encounter a 5th tone in Mandarin called the neutral tone.
Ba.
It's mainly used for small, helpful grammar words, which we'll discuss later. For now, focus on picking up on and reproducing the tone contours of the new words we learn. And welcome to the wonderful world of Mandarin.
So this is very helpful. This grammar note I wanted to show because as you can see here, these 4 words all spelled the same but with different accent marks. It could be very tricky in a language like Mandarin, where the slight emphasis of speech, even if it is spelled the same, will mean very different things. So it's really helpful as a guide to be like, hey, this is what is important in this language. This is how you navigate it correctly, and this is how you will learn more effectively. So it's kind of just a nice helping hand to have while you're going through this. I should also mention we're recording this presentation, and it's going to be on our YouTube page when it's should be uploaded in the next week or so. So if you need to go back through anything, review anything, if I went fast through any other points, please just definitely go on our YouTube page. I'll actually show you now where to find that, just in case. So if you're on our homepage again, ilove.ebpl.org, you could hover over connect. That's funny. I thought we would have that here. We do not. But if you went to YouTube, you can just search EBPL, and that will take you right to us, and you'll find us there. Anyway, the last thing I wanted to show is here, if you are learning English. So what's very helpful is, like I said before, when you're learning English, it asks, they have a lot of options. It's not every language, but they have a lot of options for, what is your first language and how you can best learn English from, I'm sure a lot of people who in East Brunswick might speak Arabic, Bengali, Chinese, all very Korean, all very common, Russian, all very common languages. So it's nice that we have that breadth of options available to us. Again, I'm going to use Spanish because, like I said before, I can't understand anything else but English and Spanish. So as we see here, it looks very similar to what we've seen already. We have these main units, and then the great thing about this is they have job seeking as a specialty unit. So if you need to know words and phrases specifically geared towards something like job seeking, that will be made available to you. It's very helpful to have something like that. I'm glad they offer it. We're just going to take a brief look. And again, it has vocabulary. When you click, it has these end of the lesson quizzes, that kind of thing. And we're just going to give a brief.
Este capítulo le enseñará a tener conversaciones como esta.
Good morning.
Hello. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
The weather is nice today.
Yes, it is. The breeze is wonderful.
Well, have a good day.
Goodbye.
No se preocupe si parece ser difícil. Le enseñaremos.
And again, we see a conversation, and just the same way it was before, only
Así se dice. Usted ponga bien. Escuche cómo se dice. Vamos. Usted bien. Fíjese en la distinción que hay entre la tarde, durante el día, y la tarde, de más noche. Si pensamos en un día normal de trabajo de 8 a.m. a 5 p.m.,
Afternoon.
Comienza con el almuerzo a las 12, así como
Evening.
Comienza cuando termina la jornada laboral después de las 5 p.m.
So it's just how to use words. Again, a culture note on how to use words and how to use language correctly, that kind of thing. As we see at the top, this green bar is our progress
Como
through all the way to the end. And yeah, we finished it. We may have just, clicked an arrow through, but it says we finished. And again, it will turn green. And it will, if you have an account, it will remember your activity, and whatever you finish already will be in green here. And then you could pick up with the next chapter, the next lesson. So that's very helpful, again, to track your activity. But definitely, this is a great way. Just click, you want to learn English and you want to do it from any of these available languages. That's very helpful to have. Again, this will be up on our YouTube page. It should be available, I would say, in the next week or so. Yeah, and then you could go back through it definitely and learn that way, and hopefully you really like it, and definitely check it out as an app on a mobile device on Google or on any Apple device. The interface is great. It looks just like this, which is not always the case with language learning services. It's very helpful to have.